この番組はご覧のスポンサーの提供でお送りします。Alrighty, welcome everyone. It's another beautiful morning, and I am here for another episode of Dungeon Meshi. We're here for episode 18. Last time on Dungeon Meshi was bad. Okay, the episode itself wasn't bad, but the events of the episode for our core characters feel really bad. We started off trying to communicate, trying to understand between these three parties that had now collided, finally. And those connections, those attempts, we now know that they probably weren't going to go anywhere, but they were still rudely interrupted by the arrival of consequences. Consequences in the form of Fallen's new horrifying draconic bird beast form. And that arrival shattered everything. It broke all the possible connections that we could have made, as far as I can tell. Shuro and Laios were the core of the episode. Shuro's attitude and inability to speak, inability to share what he's really feeling, and this resentful energy that he's brewed up over the course of not just a short period of time, but a long, long time toward Laios. Partly because of his connection to Fallen, and Laios being a bit of a third wheel, partly because of Laios' own happy-go-lucky, friendly, outgoing attitude. All things that Shuro cannot stand in some way. And we went pretty deep on trying to piece that out and figure it out. And by the end, I came to the conclusion that Shuro resents those things in Laios because they're things that he's cut off about himself. Things that he can't see in himself and doesn't like in himself and desperately wishes he could actually embody within himself. And in that space is enmity brewing just from the one side and shock and loss of a friend that he thought was a friend on Laios' side. But there's more to it. Shuro promised, and he didn't take the promise back. He promised that he would report the events that happened down here to the Lord of the Island. And in turn, I think that means that that information is going to make its way to the Elves of the West, though it might not because there seems to be some contention between the Lord of the Island and the Elves of the West. Either way, Marcille is now in a position where she's the one who did it. She's the one who cast this forbidden magic, and now she has to feel like she's got the FBI after her. The Elves of the West, I'm calling the FBI because I think it's really funny. They look down on black magic. They're gonna put you in a room, take away all your magic, and leave you there to rot until you die. And that is the fate that awaits Marcille unless she can change something. Chiltruck's along for the ride for now. Senshi's along for the ride for now. But Laios and Marcille are now more stuck than ever. They don't really have any choice but to go forward and to try to win the whole thing. The stakes of the game got really seriously elevated in a way that didn't even hit me until a little bit later, until a little bit of thinking about it. It's like, there's no way forward in many ways. There's no way up to the surface and back down. There's no slow road down in an easier path. There's no gathering a bunch of new allies from the surface. We're stuck. We're social pariahs. We're a bit outcast. And now our mission isn't just to rectify a failure, to like go back and fix something that we did improperly. It's to go and undo something terrible that we have done, something that we caused, and now we need great power to fix it. And that means going deeper and deeper. I really like it. I think it's really cool, and I've folded a couple of elements of that idea into my own ongoing D&D situation. I was struggling a little bit with like why this sort of dungeon that I'm building exists in the first place, and what would be a really cool sort of climactic battle set up by the heroes from a forgotten age, right? For the heroes of a new age, the emerging heroes of a new age, to find and discover and set them off on their journey. And the conclusion that I came to is that it has to do with the ability to change something that you've done wrong. So that's what I've placed in my big dungeon, is like a big like an orrery, which is like an astronomical room, right, with a bunch of spinning gears and spinning planets and stuff. It's a big orrery thing. There'll be a big puzzle and combat and stuff in there, and eventually it'll emerge, and underneath that orrery is a strange magical mechanism that will have the power, if you go and gather a bunch of artifacts that are scattered across the multiverse, the power to erase or alter one event in the past. And that's that's my core campaign thing right there. So I'm going to take that idea and I'm going to plug it into my own stories because I think it's really neat. But here we are. Our core group is once again left alone. They've invited others to the dinner table, and the others have eaten a little bit and then left. Peace! Shuro's gone, his party is gone, Kabru's gone, his party is gone, and we are alone, deeper in the dungeon than we've ever been, and we have no choice but to head deeper still. What will we find down here? Will we have notes and information and insights about it, or are we going to be flying a little bit more blind? I don't know, but I'm really excited to see where we go from this new starting point in Dungeon Meshi, because that's really what it feels like, is like a new starting point. Like this it doesn't really work with the beginning of the core and stuff, but finding the dragon, fighting the dragon the first time was our core end, but then finding Fallen in this state and fighting her and losing all of these connections that I thought were going to be our road forward. I thought we were going to group up with Shuro and Kabru and learn a bunch from them and maybe adventure for a little while, or at least use their magic powers to help us get back up to the surface. But now, until we change something, we're not going to be wanted up on the surface. We're going to be considered monsters ourselves. It's a new level of being part of the dungeon, eh? So, that's where we stand, and there's no inkling of what is to come. This could return us to very classic Dungeon Meshi fare, the expected plate, the sort of expected menu of like, go adventure some stuff, find some cool monsters, kill the cool monsters, eat the cool monsters, continue on. Or things could get dramatically more complicated extremely quickly, both in terms of what's down here and what interesting shit could be going on. The fact that we have angered and made an enemy of the Mad Mage, who might be taking an active role in hampering our progress instead of just letting the dungeon do what it does. He might be coming after us, especially because he recognizes Laios and like all this shit. And there are political and multicultural and like racial even tensions happening on the surface level of things that will eventually percolate down and affect us at some point. How and to what degree and what that's going to look like, I don't know. My impression is that the elves of the West are very magically powerful, and we've already seen teleportation magic. So I am truly wondering whether, if they find out about this, they could just port down, grab Marcial, and port her out, and we're fucked without a mage. I don't know. I don't know what could happen now, because we've come to a stopping and restarting point, and now Dungeon Meshi gets to choose its direction once more. The show is so interesting because it could choose a bunch of different directions, and it could choose a direction that looks like one and actually has a bunch of other things folded into it. It could be really complicated, or it could be really simple. It could be really fun and light, or our next episode could be deeply dark. We could focus externally on monsters and fighting and being a part of the dungeon and integration with the ecosystem and all that jazz. Or we could focus internally on the struggle of having failed, of having worse than failed, of having made it worse by trying. Marcial's struggle of trying to use the only magic she had access to, and now knowing that the FBI is coming after her because she's got evil data loaded onto her goddamn staff. This is tough. I'm gonna do a drawing. Hmm. Hmm. That feels good to me. Simple, straightforward, but also, I don't know, something about it feeling a little bit like a sundial. Like, so let me back up. Initially I just thought one light source and using the colors in here, but then I realized that as I put the first brown in, that I messed it up and I put it on like both sides. So I was messing up wherever the light source was. So the only way that that works is if that's just inherent coloration of the staff, and there are multiple light sources, which would cast multiple shadows. So that's what I've drawn. But then doing that, it's like pointing multiple directions. Yeah, it's like, which way does the sun guide us? Which way do we go from here? And in the shadows of what we've done, multiple directions are open, but they're not very clear to me. Feels something like that. At core, it's Marciel's fear around her staff as like an element or an emblem of the mistake that she's made, and the fear of like the shadow that it casts coming back around to harm us was where I sort of started internally with this idea. And it's just her staff sticking up out of the ground casting shadows, but it's it's almost funny to me how simple symbols that don't really have terribly much meaning to them can be imbued by us, by our intent with meaning, and then meaning emerges out of the creation process of them. That's the part that I'm always kind of chasing after here in these drawings, is like there's a piece of it that isn't apparent to me except in the process of trying to create it, and then once it's created, it has impacts on me that I didn't intend. It's a really strange piece of the interaction between artist, art, and observer, is that the artist themselves can step into the role of observer and observe their own piece of work, their own art, and have it affect them in a way that they didn't even intend to, right? You pour yourself into the thing and you expect to know what comes out, right? Like, this is a mechanical process. I do a thing, I know what comes out of the thing, not how it works at all. Not how it works at all. It's like there's a semi-permeable membrane between my brain's space and the meaning making space. And in trying to cross it one way, I create things and leave things behind that when I cross back, they stay there, or they like remain, or they become real, or I gather them and put them inside my brain. It's so weird. There's I've never felt closer to the process, to like the people who create the art that I observe and interact with, than when I'm creating my own art in parallel with them. Does that make sense? It's done so much to expand my experience of these shows, just to draw little things about them, just to draw in response to them. It's cool. It's cool. I wonder, I don't know. I wonder if there would be any way to like study the value of that, like how much more connected, how much more interactive, how much more value is generated inside you as you watch or interact with a piece of media if you're, as you go, taking notes or doing doodles or doing little things. I imagine it's very different for different people, but for me, it's like nothing else gets me in the zone and makes me feel connected to the process of the art creation. And in a way, it's like eating immaterial food, or like cooking a meal out of the monsters. Does that make sense? It makes me feel connected to the ecosystem of art, even though I'm pretty distant from it. But that's something that I kind of desperately want to be connected to, and this is my journey to do it. Okay, I'm going to put this up, and then we'll get started. Looking at it up there, it kind of reminds me of the Kabbalah, the like tree of life, which is like circles with lines connecting them. It's like the first roots of it. Huh. I'm not super familiar with that set of traditions, so not gonna dive into it, but huh. Eh, eh. All right, everyone, that's the intro. Caffeine is kicking in, drawing's done, hair is getting floofy. Time to watch episode 18 of Dungeon Meshi and find out what happens next as our original party ventures forth further into the darkness of the dungeon and the unknowns that await us there. Let's watch episode 18. I've got the episode up and ready to go. There'll be two versions, picture-in-picture in the description, timer on YouTube, early access on the Patreon, beep beep timer to count you down. Let's go! Somebody mentioned that they think that that Gaia-looking figure is just one of the Dryad flowers, which is really sad, but makes sense. I was hoping that we were going to meet an enormous goddess woman, like Dark Souls level stuff, you know? Is that Gwendolyn? I think it's Gwendolyn. Creepy. It's so weird to have this super fun OP given where we're at in the story. Wow, everything's so fun and bright and shiny. And dead and murdered and smashed by dragon monsters. And we're alone. Yay! Yay! Oh, my volume is really low. Is that Fallen's blood? Canals? Ooh, frozen canals? Okay. Mmm. Mmm. I wonder if we can find some pelts. You do? Mm. Mm. If you say so. I'd always rather have hot than cold. Long as I got water, I'm happy in the hot. Cold will kill me. Retrieve the stuff we left behind? Oh. Still thinking monsters. That's not a bluff, dude. Yeah, take down the lunatic magician. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Correct. Does anybody remember? She knows. Yeah, and Laios, you've met him. Oh. Delgal appeared and turned to dust? Oh. Wait, so there's a second Delgal? Delgal the king's son. What if Laios is dead? No, that's too many years. He remembers, good. Yeah, I had no way to know. He wasn't the lunatic magician at that time. He was just a bard kid. Whoa, what? Oh yeah, but what changed? It makes sense inside the dungeon, but if you can pull from infinity, then okay, this has all been convo, all been working through the problem set. Just like focused on our talking. Are we gonna get separated? Whoa. Separated in a blizzard. And Marcio? Okay, we've got everybody. Oh, uh, I'm sorry. Wait, is that the cat? It's gotta be the cat girl. It's gotta be Akemi. I bet there are monsters living in it, but yeah, that's gotta be the cat girl, right? It had the little like bracer or armband thing. Hi, Lio's eyes. Huh? Yeah, wait, what was that? Boing! Hold on to her tight. What? Oh! What? What? They're all different. Oh shit, it's illusions. I mean, can we eat them? They're not perfect either. I love giant Lios and derpy Marseals. Okay, full doppelganger stuff. Well, they seem legit. They seem legit. Yeah, so we can piece this together. Oh, shit. Oh, they're the versions that are inside. Wait, so one. Wait. Wait. So whose is whose? All the chill checks are pretty much the same. Eh? Eh? They're AI generated. He's got too many fingers and. He doesn't care about people. Okay. Okay, you don't have to fight everything. That's fair. Very smart. Feel like that's not Senshi. Hmm. Yeah, we got scared Chilchuck. Got normal Chilchuck, and we got angry Chilchuck. They always do, though. Yeah, that's not possible. That one had more down-pointed ears. Yeah. Well, I assume that the non-magical ones can't cast magic. But if they can read minds... Oh, okay, well... That one's fake. That's actually the real one. Huh. We have no way of determining that. That's not Senshi. One of them is adamant. Okay, so we've now got, what, one of each? Which one's the real Chilchuck? Obviously, angry Senshi is not Senshi. There you go. It's how he's gonna judge. This is so much fun. Hell's Kitchen. Master Chef. The glitchy pixelated is so silly. Oh. Yeah, what if you're the imposter, Lyos? Got eggs? Got eggs and rice? Omu rice? Team battle! Nice. Hmm. Challenge! Oh, did he put different colored bands on them? Yeah. Wooden box feels very chill chucky. He would never ask for help. Yeah. Ha. Ha. But is that just chill chuck? I think that's actually chill chuck, though. This is tough. This has gotten harder. Fuck. Hmm. Hmm. It's just an egg, though. That's very Marcel of her. Yeah. Both are reasonable. Both could be real. Just like it's fine now, I guess. I don't think that's the real one, though. Oh, it's so hard. Angry Senshi is not Senshi. His nose is too Roman and his eyes are too fierce. That's not him. Looks like risotto. That's really Senshi. Okay, red Senshi is Senshi. Yeah, kinda Ikemen, though. Handsome Senshi. What? Ah! Ah! Yeah, that's actually Senshi, dude. The way our perspectives on each other kind of warp. I'm kind of wondering whether something obvious will happen once they try to eat. Also, I feel like they could try to break Senshi's knife on Senshi's knife, because one of them won't be adamant, right? He's figured it. He's figured something out. Yum, yum, yum. Yep. Yep. Impossible. Just vibes. What if you're wrong, though? Shit. Oh man, they're all turning against Laios now. And they're aligning with their party members. Oh, no, now they're fighting. Never mind. Hmm. The food isn't real, you think? Wait. You're saying that they're all illusions created by one monster to try to, like, get you? That's really cool. Please fight like a beast, Laios. What are you trying, Laios? It's the thing that he's really good at. He's really good at barking like a dog. You got it, Laios. Insane sequence. Oh! And the monster itself? Doggy. Nice puppy. Fuck, it's got the tails. Is he just gonna fear it down? Laios, you might have gotten too into it. Can we use it to use its fluffy tails as scarves? Hey. uh, they were all leaves. Wait, even the ones that they made weren't? Okay. Just like he did in that. Oh. He would never gather all he could find. He would never gather all he could find. Oh yeah, she poured the boiled water. Yeah, even the ones that I think would have been intuitively the other way came around this way. Again, impressed by the monster. They didn't tell her, right? Yeah, no, of course not. No, definitely never ate those. Ooh. I think Akebi stole them. I think she's actually here. Yeah. Yeah, we're being followed by somebody. A monster. A cat monster. Hi. Oh, we've got a face. Hi. Okay. Interesting. She's kind of stuck down here. She doesn't have the skills to survive on her own, probably. Not like monster eating and stuff. This was an extremely fun episode and like a palate cleanser in a lot of ways. Reattachment to our core cast. Clever. Clever. This'll look so, like, sad here. Kind of grim. Okay, there goes episode 18. I really enjoyed this one. I said at the beginning that maybe we could have like a return to form and do fun monster things, and I would consider this that with a bit of a wrinkle to it, with a little bit extra wrapping paper on it that's very focused on the connections internally between our core cast of four. That's like the whole focus of the episode is how they see each other and how they want to like prove their literal identity to each other. It's all focused on identity. Who are you? How do you interact with the rest of the group? How do you interact with the dungeon? And in that sense, it feels like a really cohesive reintroduction to our cast members and their core interparty dynamic. Yeah? We had the introduction and confusion a little bit. Like, it wasn't confusing, but it's a lot more pieces in play of introducing Shuro Squad and Kabru Squad and jumping the camera all over and doing all these things. So it feels kind of just right to me to recenter, to resettle our camera down on our core characters, to put them in isolation, and then to make the challenge of the episode about each other, right? Not just about an inference around the monsters, but around how they see each other and what they know about each other and what they think about each other. It's really cool. It's also a like a replay in a little bit of a way on what happened to Kabru's party when the revival guys were using their monsters. And we got to see Kabru, who is adventurer focused, right? He's focused on the people in a lot of ways. He's focused on his party as a leader, not on monsters. He's not monster obsessed in the same way. He's people obsessed. And so he's able to like instantly characterize all of his people And I bet that in a circumstance like this, Kabru would have a very different set of takes and a different way of going about things than Laios would. So we get this distinct contrast. We make Laios the center focus of the episode because he sort of steps forward and is like, I'm the one who's going to choose, just because the Laios alikes are so obviously fake, which I guess is because they're from the memories of everyone around Laios, and none of them have a complete picture of Laios, not even close. I guess that's the inference that we have to make from that. Yeah, because they're all generated out of the knowledge and imaginations of the other party members about Laios, and his are the least distinctly like him. They're the most weird, they're the most off. So it's like none of them have a good grasp on who Laios really is under the surface. That's really interesting. And then the course of the thing is an exercise in memory and attachment and connection and inference and intuition and trusting your gut and stuff that also falls into like very classic trope space. It's like such a classic trope that like an alien appears and pretends to be your husband, and now it's the two husbands on a rooftop pointing guns at each other like, no, honey, it's me. I'm your real one. Don't you remember when we went to Six Flags together? And the other one's like, no, we didn't go to Six Flags. We went to Universal Studios. Don't you remember? And then, the wife shoots one of them. And we assume that she's right. But to play that into this episode, right after this big split, it's just a really solid recentering. It's not a recap episode. We had the episode where Kabru sort of talks through the events and everybody's they're sort of following along in Laios' path, and that kind of functions as recapping stuff. This doesn't recap, but it repeats or re-solidifies our core cast. I think that's really cool, and it does a great job of bringing us back to a baseline of where we were at before all this dragon and monster stuff happened, and getting us back to these are four characters interacting with each other, trying to see and work with each other, trying to move forward toward their goals. And the tricks of the dungeon are multifaceted. There's a huge emphasis on dialogue in this episode. There's a little bit of animation, like around the dog sequence at the end, and there's a sequence with the big moose that does a big moose thing, and then we pan over, and there are a bunch of dogs running forward, and a couple of other scenes like that are like animation-wise impressive. But most of the episode is just simple on a visual standpoint, except with accents to add to our dialogue, and focused really heavily on the dialogue, really heavily on the characters and how they interact, what they say to each other, how they're thinking through the events of the last episode, how they're thinking through what they're going to do next, how they're thinking through the situation that they're in, the mad mage, the king, the situation as a whole develops and expands. So we're like building up the story that we're going to have to interact with, the big broad story, and we're building up the core interactions between the characters so that it's like a rebuild of all of the pieces that we need to move forward into whatever comes next. I think it's clever. I think it's really clever. It palate cleanses, it returns us to a cooking baseline while folding a cool and unique and interesting monster in, and it forces our party to evolve in their dynamics between each other, or at least to highlight those dynamics between each other. I like it. As soon as we decide to move forward, we find this. We're on the trail, and the trail leads to frozen canals. They crisscross under the city. Many things must have flowed through. I love this set of lines. Water, of course, but also people, animals, conspiracies, lies, and rumors. Ooh. It just feels so juicy. It's like, a city of ancient secrets, lies, and like thieves traverse these canals. There will be hidden like storage points and stuff, and maybe destroyed boats or all sorts of things, So many options. It's supposed to be hot and humid, but it is instead freezing cold. We're not in the wrong place. So why has it changed so dramatically? This is like a fundamental change to the nature of the dungeon, the weather of the thing, which is really, really strange. Better cold than hot, he says. And I said it when it was happening, but I disagree. I survive well in hot, and cold shuts me down. Like, Cold feels like death. And hot, as long as I've got sufficient water, it's like I can sweat it out. I can survive. It's fine. But that's me, you know? Cold just feels like death. Cold must be rough for a red dragon, and Laios is already thinking about monsters. Chilchuck calls it bluffing and telling Yashiro that you're going to take down the lunatic magician. About that, there's more to it. Fallen was looking for Delgal. Who was Delgal? Delgal is the king. Marcial knows. Inscriptions praising him all over. He's on the coins. He's on all sorts of stuff. But when the dungeon was discovered, he appeared on the surface, turned to dust, and disappeared. So the old King Delgal is gone. So all of this construct and commanding and all of that, it makes no sense to find a king that vanished years ago. But then Laios puts it together. The lunatic magician saw the previous king get killed before his eyes. Since then, he's been afraid that Delgal, the king's son, will meet the same fate. So we don't know the fate of Delgal, the king's son. The assumption that the magician is making is that he's still here in the dungeon somewhere. And that he will meet the same fate. So the lunatic magician is chasing after this child who may or may not be here, hoping to save him and rescue the lineage of the king that he followed. My first thought was like, ooh, what if Laios is actually Delgal? The Delgal the Younger, right? It's like, oh, he's the prodigal child of the dungeon returning to the dungeon. This is why he's so attached to it and so connected and all that stuff. Doesn't make sense. He's got a sister, right? Doesn't track. He's from elsewhere. Doesn't track. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't have to. Okay, cool. Kabru also, likely not, just because he doesn't seem to be the same ethnicity as the king. So probably not that. No idea. No idea what about this might even be true, right? Or if it's just a wild goose chase for the lunatic magician to continue on his path. I don't know. That's why he thought we were assassins. Also, I met him in the living paintings. You should have said something sooner. You relived the past. He's an elf. Can he really live for a millennium? And we get this, like, lifetime wrinkle, controlling the lives of others. And Marcial says, not possible, because you'd have to be burning your own internal magic in order to sustain yourself. And that's like being on a boat with a fan. It doesn't push the boat forward, you know? Your fan into the sail doesn't do anything. But maybe that's not what he's doing. We already understand that you can pull magic from a space of infinity and add that to other things, so why not to yourself, eh? Why not pour that blackness into your own veins? Ooh, good stuff. Really cool potential dark magic stuff in the background. I think that's really cool. Maybe we could talk to the lunatic magician. They all look at each other like, I don't know about that. But I like that intuition or that thought from Laios. It seems like it could be possible. But he's so swayed against them and so angry and so scary and so crazy. I don't know. So we get a big blizzard and it threatens to separate the party. So we all grab each other's hands. And I want to see the hand that grabs the last hand. Because it's actually a Kebi, right? Yep. Marcial's hand, pointed clawed fingernails, and the black and red sort of gauntlet thing. Yeah, that's our resident cat girl person. Okay. A tunnel! Let's take shelter. And so we do. I love this reveal. I think it's really silly and really wonderful. Huh, it used to be, oh shit! Because I thought, we set up a Kebi, we're just going to turn and be like, oh, look, a cat girl. Nope. Duplicates. Oh my god. Giant Laios is so silly. Also, I wonder whose internal imagination is ugly Marcial. Is that Senji's? Or is it Laios's? Because he doesn't, I don't know. It's hard to know. I wonder if anybody's pieced out who exactly is whose imagined version. Also, who thinks that Senshi is hot? I guess everybody's like, oh, that's how Senshi always was. He's just always been cool and handsome. Shapeshifters. But they're not really shapeshifters. They're like anglerfish bobs in the shape of your friends. Because each one of them isn't like a conscious entity. They're all being controlled by the wolf creature. What a cool monster. Your hometown sounds like a dangerous place. True. I wonder if that's how his interest in monsters started. And it begins. It begins. There's idiot Laios. That's gotta be Marseille. It's gotta be Marseille. Giant doofus Laios has to be Chilchuck, right? And then like weak, cute, sweet Laios with like blushy cheeks. I don't even know. I don't even know. They're probably how I appear in your memories. And we just get these sort of shaped versions of them, so it's hard to tell who's whose. They all look a little different. We got like cute little boy Chilchuck. Oh, that's got to be one of them who just hasn't been able to grasp that Chilchuck is an adult. So that's probably Senshi's, right? Okay. Can't grasp that Chilchuck is an adult. And then the one with the bad look in his eyes is the real Chilchuck. And then the kind of like normally one is one of their interpretations of him. Who did that? Who did that to our girl? Who did this to our girl? Come on, guys, that's not nice. What? I'm not an imposter. And one of them is like a little Yankee, a little weird clothes. Oh, what fun. And it takes up the whole span of the thing, and we jump back to like all sorts of elements of their history and reasons to think that they might be one person or another. Laios comes up with the plan is to make them make a meal, which could work in the long term because the meals that they made would just be piles of leaves. A lot of the inferences are really smart, but not what I would expect. They're like the opposite. Like I thought Chilchuck sitting on the box because Chilchuck has done that before was like, oh, that's probably the real Chilchuck, but instead he's being nonchalant about it. And so Laios reads that as not the right Chilchuck. Marseille's one of the hardest ones because they both kind of don't want to do it, and it's unclear whether the reluctance and then giving in or the complete reluctance is more Marseille about it. It's hard to tell. All these little pieces. And so at the end of it, it has to be in context of dealing with and interacting with monster stuff for Laios to really like think it through to know. But it's still a way that he's able to connect to his party. It still has to be through his special interest, through his core hyper focus. But still, he's able to actually to recognize them and to care about them. It shows that there's more of a connection between him and them than they maybe would have believed, than we maybe would have believed. He doesn't just care about monsters. He does care about his party too. And that's really cool. I love that the Senshis just kind of get along and work together really well. I love the cool and hot Senshi meme. It's really silly. It's done! And he's got it. He's figured it out. Please step into the cage, lets them all fight, and then goes after the wolf himself. Whoa. Okay, I love this hand shaking cut. It's so fun. We get smears that make it really feel like la 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 la. It's super neat. And it builds up to Laios barking at nothing. But it's not nothing. And he is really good at it, which is like a payoff from earlier. This is really cool. I just want to watch this cut. Whoa! It's got... I know that I'm not going to be able to put a name on the animator, but I know we've seen their cuts in the show already. The, like, pull out across is so fun. It reminds me a lot of the scene where Rin in the last episode holds up her staff and goes like wave, wave, and we pull the camera, and then woof, pull out as she does the thing. It just whips us through this space so fast. And it's because there's a hard cut right here. Right here. Yeah? It's not smooth. It's not a smooth pull all the way across. It pulls, and then it jumps, and then it pulls, and it jumps. And yet it somehow works. Instead of feeling jerky, it's like woof, woof, woof. It's like got a pendulum swing to it. It's cool. And that kind of follows through the rest of the cut. It pulls, woof, whoa. And then coming all the way around these dogs as they sprint forward is really good looking. And Laios joins them and he's rushing forward with the whole team. And then the face feels very classic, like almost a reference, but it's been done so many times that it's not like a reference to something specific. It's just face across. I mean, there's a Symphogear scene that's like that face. And then their big spinning, I don't know, like a carousel almost. Woof! They dissolve into leaves, and the beast appears. I really like this frame of Laios sort of crouched over, acting like a dog. The one from the front, this one, with the like harsh lines on his face. What does this remind me of? This reminds me of something very particular. The hard lines on the face reminds me of something very particular. I can't place it. And a big leap. Ah! And then Marcel just does a little bloop of magic and it's all over. Boom! Easy peasy. Got a little bit carried away. So let's remake the meals. And he reveals how he knew as he's stroking the little floof. Even if your viewpoint is a bit off. Fishman eggs, little desserts. And the reveal that Akebi has followed us and tried to steal our rice. I wonder what her game is here. Or, yeah, I think her. I think it's safe to use female pronouns for Akebi. I wonder what Akebi's game is here. Is it to rejoin her party because she got sort of separated? Is it just to get some easy rations from them so that she can head back up? Or does she have some reason to be delving deeper and following us? I don't know. We haven't found out that much about this character and her motivations yet, so I'm excited to find out more and to have some unexpected continuing inter-party conflict as we have to interact with a strange cat girl who may or may not have our best interests at heart. Okay, this is a pretty simple one, pretty straightforward, short reaction and discussion, especially compared to last week where we did like 2 hours of talking about it because there was so much in the episode. I will go and check Sakuga. I at least want to see the moose cut, and connect that in my brain space for like who made that happen. So let's go do it. Okay, only 3 cuts to look at. Bing, bing, bing. So this is our hands going handsy. I think it's really great looking. Unfortunately, it is artist unknown. Artist unknown and Shinsaku Kozuma for the wolf appearing. Should be Fumiyaki Kota, at least partially. That's good to know. And the woof of the thing feels a little maybe Princess Mononoke inspired. There's a scene where the wolf like comes out in Mononoke and the wind blows through it that might be inspiring this. There's also an element, oh, maybe that face on Laios feels Naruto-esque to me when he's like power is happening and he maybe isn't in control of it. I don't know. It doesn't feel quite right as I say it. Yeah, it's a cool sequence. Okay. And then some effects and some explosions. Okay, and then here's our big moose. Great cut. Is this more of Kano's work? That would make sense, wouldn't it? Oh man, I don't know. I don't know. It definitely could be. Who this is the running through like through Homeland scene in the like first episodes. Or like the first time we meet this stuff in the back. So these zooms where we pull here and then we go woof, and woof, and woof. It makes me feel like it's more like this, but then the cut itself doesn't have the sort of style of this. It's a little more, it's less Ikarashi feeling than this one. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know who this could have been. I don't think that this is Ichigo Kano. I don't think Fierce Alchemist is correct here. I don't think this is Ichigo Kano. I think it could be Kai Igarashi, given the overall style and the fact that he's working on this a whole bunch. It could be Kano, for all I know. I feel like it might be a third person that we haven't put forward. I don't know. Anybody have any thoughts on the moose cut? I'm kind of thinking Kai Igarashi, but it doesn't have the it doesn't have the sort of silliness or the sort of geometric rigidity of shapes. I guess neither does this, though. I'm gonna go with Kai Igarashi as my potential guess for the big moose cut, and I'm gonna be totally happy to be wrong. I don't think it's Ichigo Kano. Totally happy to be wrong again, though. I don't know. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, a fairly straightforward episode, all things considered, pushes our story forward just a little bit, but more than that, it builds the foundation up for us to dig down deeper into. And I really appreciate that. Thanks for the palette cleanser. Thanks for the palette cleanser, Dungeon Meshi. Thank you very much for watching this episode along with me, and I'll see you next week for more. Much love. Peace.